Hey everybody, I'm JJ Johnson. You're watching Reality Survival. So, right now, what I have for you is I'm going to talk about what I think preppers should worry about. And these are kind of things that I worry about. And so, I'm not saying that everybody should worry about the same things or any of that kind of stuff. But since I recently did some videos talking about martial law and saying you don't need to worry about martial law, and then I did another video talking about the UN and saying, hey, you really don't need to worry about the UN. I thought maybe it would be timely to share with you guys the things that I think are potentially dangerous and the things that we kind of need to prepare for. So, these are just the things that I think are a little bit more probable, a little bit more realistic than some of the other things. And you guys may have a totally different list, and that's really fine. I'm just kind of letting you guys know where I'm coming from, on the things that I see as something that could be an issue. So with that, we'll just go ahead and jump right into it. So the first thing is number one is high probability weather events. Tornadoes, hurricanes, snow and ice storms, forest fires, flooding, these kind of things, they affect people all the time. We should, as preppers, we should all be looking at our geographic regions and figuring out which of those kinds of things can affect us in our area and be prepared for those. I think that's top of the list right there. And I'm kind of going in order from most probable to least probable as I go down this list. And there could be some overlap on this. It's not really a scientific process. It's just me jotting down some notes and thoughts and stuff I thought I'd share with you. So the second one is job loss. With the technological advancements of artificial intelligence, robotics, self-driving cars and trucks, job loss is going to affect more and more people down the road. I think it's really important that we continue to educate ourselves and we continue to stay up to date on new technologies. If you haven't got your degree, look at getting your degree. Look at continuing your education so that you're valuable in a wider spectrum of the workplace. So I think that is something that is definitely important. Number 3, this one is kind of interesting, but it's apathy and complacency. Apathy and complacency. Withdrawal from the political process is a huge, huge problem. We need to keep a watchful eye on elected politicians. We need to be involved. We need to be voting and regularly contacting our officials. I think that is essential. If you're not regularly sending emails and phone calls and faxes and whatever the case may be to your officials on the issues as they come up, you're not taking part in the process as much as you should be. That does have an effect because the number one motivating thing that politicians want is to stay in office. And if they hear from enough of us on these issues, it does affect how they vote and what they will support and what they won't support. So I think that's a big one. If we're not involved and we withdraw from the political process, this is far more dangerous than a lot of things that are out there. Allowing big government progressives to incrementally take our freedoms away because we're not involved in the process and we're not standing up and saying no to certain things, that is how we lose our freedom for good. And, I think that's a real problem with a lot of people, especially some people in the prepper community. They take the attitude that, it doesn't matter, both politicians are on both sides and I'm guilty of saying the same thing, and they kind of just say it doesn't make any difference what we do. And I don't think we're there yet. I think that we've been moving in that direction, but I think it does still make a difference on what they listen to and what they don't. A prime example of that is after Sandy Hook. The gun community stood up and basically said, don't try it. And they didn't. And we were able to hang on to, gun rights and those kind of things. There's other examples, but that's just one. Okay, So number 4 on the list is a massive cyber attack. A couple of years ago, Vladimir Putin publicly stated that World War III had already begun, and that this war is not going to be fought with bullets and bombs, it's going to be fought with digits. And I think we should take him at his word. I mean, look at the WannaCry virus that just happened. Look at some of the power outages that have happened that have been, blamed on cyber attacks. This could possibly be a large, could cause a very large regional grid down or even a nationwide grid down situation, depending on what kinds of viruses and how the attack went and all that kind of stuff. I mean, there's tons of different variables, but I think, in the short term, this could probably affect at least some of us. Okay, so number 5 is a global pandemic. Historically, we're way overdue for a massive pandemic that kills off a big portion of the population. And I think that we should be prepared for that. Nature, you can only hold back nature for so long. Our use of vaccines and different things, a lot of people attribute the fact that we haven't had a big influenza kill off is because of the use of vaccines. I don't really know if that's true or not. But I think, like I said, you can only hold nature off for so long. And there's a long history of cyclical, pandemic kill-offs, and I don't see any reason why that wouldn't happen in the future. So that is a concern to me as well. Number 6 is an economic collapse. Our current path is unsustainable. The amount of debt that we have, the way that we're printing money, the quantitative easing, all these kinds of things, the inflation of the stock market, at some point there's going to be a big correction, and that's just historical. Since the stock market opened, you look at it and there's ups and downs. As it goes up, then it crashes and it goes higher, and it crashes and it goes higher. And I don't think that it necessarily is going to be something that is nation ending, but it's going to be a big event that's going to allow the politicians to make big changes to society. And number 7 is what I think that big change will be, and that is a digital currency. I think that a digital currency is quite likely, and it'll probably follow a big collapse, and it is extraordinarily dangerous. I don't know if you guys have thought a whole lot about digital currency and how much control that gives the government. But it's something that you should look into and that you should think about, because it's the one way that I can see in my mind that the government would be able to do a massive weapons confiscation. So kind of a scenario that I had thought about is we have a collapse, they institute a digital currency, and with that they forgive everybody's debt. That's how they get the population to buy off on it. They forgive everyone's debt. Everybody's like, oh, hey, that's great because I've got $20,000 in credit card debt or whatever the case may be. And so it makes everybody happy for a few years. But what they don't understand though is now the government has control. If everything is, and this is all aside from the whole biblical side of it, but if everybody has, you have to buy food with digital currency, you have to pay your bills, you have to do everything with the digital currency. Now, if they want to, if the big bad politicians wanted to implement gun control and say, look, with the digital currency, we can track criminals, we can, make sure that nobody is having illegal transactions and all these kinds of things, so we don't need firearms anymore. And, you have to turn your firearms in. If you don't, then your accounts will be shut off. Man, I'm telling you what, most people, when they start looking at starving kids and all that kind of stuff, they're going to end up turning them over, and it would be dangerous. Now, there's definitely some people who would fight back and all those kinds of things, but it would make it really hard to resist if you were in an economy that no longer accepted cash. So I think a digital currency is hugely dangerous and something that is likely. There's many countries around the world that are already working towards digital currency. Australia and India are among them, but it's happening everywhere. So this is, or it's going to happen everywhere. I think that's where we're headed most likely. So I worry about that one a lot. The next one, I don't really worry about this one a whole lot, but it is something that I think eventually could be a problem, and I really don't know how this would take shape, but it's a civil war. This could be something that evolves slowly, or it could be something that just springs up. It's hard to say. I don't know exactly what that would look like because I'm not really sure where the lines would be. Would it be red state versus blue state, or would it be rural versus city? Could it be a race war? Could it be, radical Islamic type war? I mean, who really knows? And I definitely don't know, but I think that it is certainly a possibility. The next one is a foreign invasion by China. Now, some people could throw Russia in there as well. I don't think that Russia is as big of a threat, mainly because they don't have the military numbers. I don't believe that a nuclear war is highly probable. And most importantly, they have the ability to feed themselves for the most part. They have enough agricultural land to be able to feed the number of citizens that they have. So that doesn't worry me. China, on the other hand, at 1.5 billion people, is a problem because they don't have the agricultural land to sustain their own population and food. If there was a massive drought or something like that, I think that could be a pivoting factor. And then you also look at their one-child policy, their massive military buildup. You add all these things together, and I just don't trust China. Plus, they're one of the few countries that has the numbers to be able to pull off an actual invasion here in the United States. Very few other places do, but China is one that is getting, they're up to having the ability to do that. If they instituted a draft and, conscripted all these young single males into service, it could be problematic. So I worry about them a little bit. I don't think that they have our best interest at heart at all. Okay, so the next thing is a massive solar flare or coronal mass ejection. Now, I think this one's fairly low probability, but the reality is that mathematically it's a certainty at some point. We know that the Earth gets hit by coronal mass ejections and some big solar flares and that kind of thing at different points throughout history, and it's going to continue happening just because of our proximity in the sun. Now, it might not happen in our lifetimes or our kids' lifetimes, or it could happen tomorrow. We just don't know. Who knows, man? We really don't have any idea. That could come at any time, and that would affect our society. It's not something that we couldn't recover from, but it would definitely be a huge deal, and there would be a lot of death associated with that and all that kind of thing. So that's 10. That was number 10, and I guess the bonus one that we could throw out there, and maybe my most conspiratorial thing, is artificial intelligence. Skynet, right? The singularity, machines taking over. I don't know. I think that's probably way down the road. But we're quickly approaching a point where artificial intelligence could actually become a problem in more ways than one. So anyway, I would love to know what your guys' list is. What are your top 10 things that you think preppers should worry about or that you worry about yourself? I'd love to see that in the comments below. And as always, guys, I definitely appreciate it when you click the thumbs up button, when you share it with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. And don't forget to live the 6 Ps. Proper prior preparation prevents poor performance. Stay safe, guys. Oh, yeah, and I got Jarhead 6 playing in the background here, and I think, is he still on there? I'm not sure if that's still him or not, but anyway, it looks like it may have changed. Check out the Jarhead 6 channel. He's got lots of good information over there, and I'm sure you guys will enjoy it if you're not already subscribed to him. Anyway, stay safe, and we'll see you again soon.